How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel where even Terraria has dark secrets. So here's a fun fact. Isaiah and I once played Terraria for 30 hours straight. Those were the good times. Even with all that playtime, I had no idea the game had lore. The developers revealed it through these pages, and it explains a lot about the game. But before we get into it, let me just say, this story is only using evidence from the pages. Apparently, before they gave us this story on Terraria's anniversary, things were said that contradict other things in the pages. I don't really know what exactly, but I'm not gonna worry about it, so let's get this started. We begin with the gods creating the worlds. Worlds, plural, as in the many generated Terraria worlds players have been on before. Also, they're sentient beings. I know, this is already very strange. The gods established these worlds to conduct an experiment to see if these worlds can keep a balance of fairness for all living creatures. The world can also feel all that goes on inside of it, which makes me feel bad for every bunny I used to slaughter for no reason. Different races were also existing on those worlds at the time. Humans, dryads, and so on. The way the world kept this balance of peace was with, quote, defense mechanisms, otherwise known as the Hallow, Crimson, and Corruption. Even though these mechanisms were violent methods, it doesn't matter as long as there is balance. The Crimson is described as a hive mind and was mistaken for a deity. Like the world created, its sole priority was restoring balance, though at the time, people trying to please it would offer human sacrifices, which it would gladly accept and consume. After consumption, it would bind to their minds, leading to the creation of mindless monsters, who blindly follow the will of the hive mind. Next, we have the Corruption, described as a cancer caused by the sins of the world. As you would guess, its growth comes from the bad thoughts and actions of the inhabitants, with each vile action causing it to consume more, which is what it wants. Its main goal is to fully cover itself over the world, spreading awful creatures that are meant to punish those who live in it for their unearned pleasure. After balance is restored, it plans to turn the world into a desolate wasteland. Finally, we get to the Hallow, which is the opposite of the Corruption. It is only released after the Guardian is defeated, the Guardian being the living barrier of flesh found in the underworld. When it's defeated, the spirits of light and dark are released, causing more danger in the world. The Hallow is bent on curing the threats to the point where it doesn't matter if you're friend or foe, you are a threat to control. Okay, now we jump into the story of the legendary battle between the Dryads and Cthulhu. At some point, Cthulhu arrived with the purpose of destroying the world and ruling over all living creatures. He was powerful, so powerful that it felt like no one could stop him from accomplishing his goal. That was until the Dryads waged war with him, though even they were too weak to actually defeat him. So in a last effort to stop Cthulhu, what do you think they did? Maybe insult his mother? Nope. They ripped out half of his skeleton, one of his eyes, and chunks of his brain. Absolutely merciless. However, they did suffer casualties to the point where only one survived, so fair trade, I guess. Anyways, this didn't kill Cthulhu, surprisingly, but it did make him retreat to the darkest part of the moon. As for those pieces of Cthulhu, each one of them was cursed and roaming the world. And after all of that, we see ourselves in the present day, or I guess present day of when we start our journey. The Order of the Guides send us a guide to explain this whole story. They also tell us of a cult formed by a psychotic leader that plans on attempting to restore Cthulhu to his former glory. How? By making mechanical body parts of the ones he lost during the Great War. Now, unfortunately, we don't know who this lunatic cultist is, but I speculate somehow he's connected to the witch doctor and wizard since they all seem to have magical abilities in common. It's just a little theory. But the problem with this horrible plan was they couldn't do it alone. In comes the mechanic, who was captured and forced to make these robotic limbs, trapped in the dungeon, which is where they were originally based, until Skeletron in the form of an old man cursed all those who lived there, causing their bodies to decay and become mindless skeleton servants. The cults managed to escape with any remaining members. Unfortunately for them, the mechanic only finished 3 of the 4 mechanical enhancements. This is when we, the player, the hero of Terraria, come in and take on all of the challenges of the lunatic cult. We take down all of the bosses created from the results of the Great War, and finally face off against the head of the clan, the lunatic cultist. The only thing that stands between him and unleashing the end of the world is us. We take him down and finally put a stop to the lunatic cult. But it's not over yet. After many years of waiting and gaining strength, Cthulhu, now the Moon Lord, returns for another attempt at conquering the world. We have no other choice. Either take down the Moon Lord and claim victory over Terraria, or fail and watch as Cthulhu destroys the world and all that inhabit it. And there we go. That is the lore of Terraria. Now, like I said, I made this from evidence from the pages, but also some of it was from creativity. I also know that if I want to call this a complete look into Terraria's lore, I need to mention all the other bosses. Well, thanks to Terraria Slime, I can do that. Starting with the King Slime, which is just a bunch of slimes who clump together and the person inside is someone who failed to defeat it. The same can be said for the Queen Slime. Plantera is the Floral Guardian and awoken after we, the player, foil the Lunatic Cult's plan. The Golem was made by the lizards to protect the Jungle Temple, and finally, Empress of Light deems us as a threat and is trying to purify the world of us. The other couple of bosses, I just say, are creatures that the world created to balance fairness. And there you have it, the entirety of the lore for Terraria. Who would have guessed this game would have such a complex story to it? Leave a comment down below letting me know if you enjoyed this video. While you're down there, consider dropping a like and subscribing. And hey, if you like game lore, then check out my video on the lore of Helldivers. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time.